Hi, and welcome to today's webinar, Telepractice Rules and Regulations. I encourage you to stay to the very end of today's presentation because I will be sharing two free downloads as the privacy and security rules, and then the other has a list of helpful links that you can use as you're further looking into the rules and regulations that pertain to you in regards to starting your telepractice. So let's go ahead and start with a poll. How many of you have ever done telepractice? You can go ahead and either answer yes or no. All right, let's go ahead with me introducing myself. My name is Adrienne, and I own Online Speech Services. I specialize in online speech therapy, accent modification, and public speaking coaching. I have a master's degree in communication sciences and disorders and an MBA in business administration. I've been serving clients via telepractice for over 10 years and have trained dozens of speech-language pathologists individually and in small groups. I've been teaching them appropriate telepractice service delivery, and I've done this mostly because when I started as a speech-language pathologist delivering services via telepractice, there wasn't much support at that time. I have over 7 years of management experience during which I was responsible for hiring, training, and supervising a team of speech-language pathologists, all working remotely as telepractitioners. As a manager, I organized the department's professional development program, established best practices and issues related to telepractice, and ensured compliance with national and state licensing regulations. I am a true advocate of telepractice as an effective method of service delivery, and I've presented several times at the annual convention of the American Speech-Language Hearing Association on the efficacy of telepractice as well as assessments. So what is telepractice? Telepractice is a telemedicine equivalent of speech-language pathology services. So according to ASHA, or the American Speech-Language Hearing Association, telepractice is the application of telecommunications technology to deliver professional services at a distance by linking clinician to client or clinician to clinician for assessment, intervention, and/or consultation. It is the position of the American Speech-Language Hearing Association that telepractice is an appropriate model of service delivery for the profession of speech-language pathology, and that comes directly from ASHA. So you may be wondering if telepractice is effective, and indeed the answer is yes. There have been many studies conducted over the past 15 years or so that show the effectiveness of telepractice. These studies are published in peer-reviewed journals and show that client outcomes are very similar, or in some cases better, to in-person speech-language therapy. Also, clients tend to be more satisfied with telepractice services due to its convenience, engaging technology, and ability for family members to be involved. Some of the few research studies on the effectiveness of telepractice have been done in the areas of speech sound disorders, language disorders, stuttering, and autism, and that's just to name a few. There are many, many more, and if you're interested, I can send you some links if you send me an email. So what's our duty as speech-language pathologists? We have to adhere to national and state regulations regarding the use of telepractice. ASHA states that services delivered via telepractice must be equivalent to the quality of services provided in person and consistent with adherence to the Code of Ethics, scope of practice in speech-language pathology, state and federal laws, and ASHA policy. So ultimately, it's our responsibility as a clinician to ensure that we're delivering high-quality services and utilizing evidence-based practice. So one of the other questions that I commonly hear is, what licenses do I need to get started in telepractice, or do I need a special telepractice license? Over the past 10 years that I've been providing services via telepractice, I've had 5 state licenses from the State Board of Speech-Language Pathology, and then 3 teaching certificates from the State Department of Education. And as a manager over the Department of SLPs, living and working across the country, I was responsible for overseeing the licensure process, and that included many telephone calls email exchanges, and I spent hours and hours reading some of the written rules and regulations of over 20 different states. So I have a little bit of experience with licensure laws, and I also know how challenging it can be to adhere to the different requirements of every state to obtain and maintain your license. As you can see from this licensure map from ASHA, many states are jumping on the telepractice bandwagon, which is great for the public, but it may cause some additional hurdles for SLPs moving forward. There is an initial draft of an interstate compact that should help streamline this licensure process if it's passed. But in the meantime, we're at the mercy of each state's regulations regarding licensure. Even still, once the compact is passed, then it's up to each state to determine whether or not they want to adopt that compact, which may take a while, but there is hope because it's definitely in the works. That being said, ASHA's guidance regarding state licensure is as follows. Obtain a license from the state in which you reside and from the state in which the patient or client resides. If a state has not established regulations on telepractice, then contact the state licensure board for further guidance and ask for written verification. So if you send an email to the state licensure board and they respond via email, then that is your written verification about that state's stance on telepractice. It's your responsibility as a clinician to review the regulations on the state licensure board website in their entirety, as well as regularly for any updates or changes. As a general rule of thumb, state licensure boards govern the practice of speech-language pathology in private practice and in healthcare settings. However, some states require that SLPs working in schools obtain a teacher certification that would be from the state's Department of Education. These are often referred to as a specialist certificate. Some states require that an SLP working in schools only have a DOE certification, while some may only require an SLP license from the state's licensure board. And some states require both. In some cases, the state will require that the SLP have a state license from the licensure board before they can apply for the DOE certification, which further delays the licensure process. Keep in mind that the state licensure board and the Department of Education are completely separate entities. So this means they do not communicate with each other, and one does not know the rules of the other. So if you will be serving schools, you must reach out to the Department of Education in the state in which you wish to practice to find out their requirements for providing telepractice services to schools. You can also contact the district or the school entity that you will be serving to find out what their requirements are. Thanks to ASHA, you can easily find an overview of each state's requirements on their state-by-state information page, and they also have links to each state's licensure board and Department of Education. So let's get into talking about protecting your client's information. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also referred to as HIPAA, that has rules that provide federal protections for patient health information held by covered entities and business associates and give patients an array of rights with respect to that information. So what does that mean? The two main rules that you need to know about are the privacy rule and the security rule. The privacy rule sets the standards for who may have access to protected health information, also referred to as PHI, while the security rule sets the standards for ensuring that only those who should have access to electronic protected health information, that's ePHI, will actually have access. The privacy rule applies to information that is transmitted in any form, including electronic, written, or oral. And the security rule only refers to information that is transmitted in an electronic form. There are three parts to the security rule. They include administrative safeguards, physical safeguards, and technical safeguards. The administrative safeguards are the administrative functions that should be implemented to meet the security standards, such as assignment or delegation of security responsibility to a certain individual within the organization. Physical safeguards would be mechanisms required to protect electronic systems, equipment, and data. And that would include restricting access to ePHI and possibly retaining an off-site computer backup system. Technical safeguards, on the other hand, are primarily the automated processes used to protect data and control access to data. That includes authentication controls to verify the person signing onto a computer is authorized to access the ePHI, or encryption. Because HIPAA refers to covered entities, the next question is, what is considered a covered entity? Every healthcare provider who electronically transmits health information in connection with certain transactions is a covered entity. So every healthcare provider, including speech-language pathologists. So the types of transactions would include claims, benefit eligibility inquiries, and referral authorization requests. In other words, if you communicate with health insurance companies on a client's behalf, then you are a covered entity. So let's talk a little bit more about protected health information and what that is. The privacy rule protects all individually identifiable health information. And they call this information protected health information, or PHI. So the health information includes the health condition, provision of health care, and payment. And this is related to the past, present, or future services of an individual. Whereas the demographics refer to information such as the client's name, address, birth date, and social security number. So these are common identifiers that could be used to identify an individual on a reasonable basis. So how does HIPAA apply to telepractice? Looking at both the privacy and security rule, there are measures that you can take as a telepractitioner to ensure that your patient's privacy and security are protected. The telepractice treatment session and all related information and documentation are subject to the privacy rule, whereas the transmission of client information is protected by the security rule. So to ensure the client's privacy, you should be sure that you're using private networks. So if you're logging in on a Wi-Fi network, you should make sure that it's a private network and password protected. For example, if you're at home or work, those are definitely secure networks. You should also use encrypted video conferencing software. And we'll get into video conferencing software a little bit later. The security rule relates to using measures such as email encryption. If you're transmitting clients' information via email, you want to ensure that you're either encrypting your email or using an email encryption services that you can pay for on a monthly basis. Another suggestion is to use a client portal that may exist either in your EMR or even your platform, depending on which video conferencing platform you're using. If you're uploading client information to the client portal, then that is taking an extra measure for security. One other tip is to always protect your computers on which client information is stored. This makes sure that you're limiting access. If you want any additional tips for protecting your client's privacy, then you can visit the ASHA website. That's one of the helpful links that will give you some other tips and measures that you can take. Now let's talk about a business associate agreement. This is also referred to a BAA, and HIPAA states that if a covered entity, remember that's you, engages a business associate to help it carry out its healthcare activities and functions, the covered entity must have a written business associate contract or other arrangement with the business associate that establishes specifically what the business associate has been engaged to do and requires the business associate to comply with the rules requirements to protect the privacy and security of PHI. So what is a business associate? A business associate is a person or entity that performs certain functions or activities that involve the use or disclosure of PHI on behalf of or provide services to a covered entity. So how this pertains to telepractice would include services such as a video conferencing platform, electronic fax service, or email provider. So for the video conferencing platform, if you're using one, you want to make sure that you do get a signed business associate agreement with that provider. The same for electronic fax service. I use one that's very inexpensive and they still provide a BAA, and I use faxage.com, but it depends on how many faxes you're sending per month. With email providers, Google offers a G Suite. It's only $6 per month or $12 per month, depending on what plan you use, and they will sign a business associate agreement with you. This does not pertain to the free Gmail, but only if you pay for the business G Suite. So, what does privacy have to do with working in schools? A lot of speech language pathologists delivering services via telepractice do provide services to schools. That is where a huge need is, and that's being fulfilled across the country. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also referred to as FERPA, is a federal law that affords parents the right to have access to their children's education records, the right to seek to have the records amended, and the right to have some control over the disclosure of personally identifiable information from the records. So an educational record refers to any record that's directly related to the student that's maintained by the educational agency or the school. And these can include grades, transcripts, class lists, student course schedules, health records, and student discipline files. So you can make sure that whatever school or district you're providing services to, that you understand what their policies are for protecting the students' information and that you're adhering to those. In some cases, HIPAA may be pertinent to school settings if you're billing Medicaid, but FERPA tends to be the federal law that protects the students' private information in schools. So let's talk about a few other considerations. While the ASHA website provides guidance and great resources related to telepractice, this information is not updated daily. So individual state regulations can change frequently, so you should always be sure to go directly to the state's licensure board to inquire about their current rules and regulations. Another consideration is to make sure that you obtain written client consent prior to initiating services via telepractice. So if you're drafting this consent form, at minimum, you should include a description of the equipment being used, the services to be delivered, how services via telepractice may differ from services delivered in person, the individual's right to revert to traditional in-person care at any time, and potential confidentiality issues. And ASHA provides guidance in drafting a client consent form if you need further information for that. Also, if you're a covered entity, you need to provide your clients with a privacy policy and have them sign to acknowledge they received it. There are free online templates, including one from the HHS website. So I have another poll question for you. Maybe you're interested in getting started in telepractice, but something's holding you back. So I want you to take a moment and answer the poll question for me, please. All right, thank you so much. So if you're eager to get started and you've learned a lot of information today, but you still need some more guidance, I definitely have something that I think can help. If you need someone to guide you through what it takes to deliver high quality services via telepractice, you are definitely in the right place. So if you want to move forward, I encourage you to enroll in the Ultimate Telepractice Training for Beginners. This is a comprehensive course that I've created to provide you with step-by-step instructions for adding telepractice to your practice, which will allow you to serve more people in more places and ultimately grow your practice. This course will transform telepractice beginners by providing you with essential knowledge and skills you need to become a confident telepractitioner in 4 weeks. Some of the course topics include identifying appropriate telepractice clients, selecting the appropriate technology, choosing a video conferencing platform that works for your needs, and knowing what materials to use with your clients. As a bonus, you will also schedule a free live practice session with me to practice your newly acquired skills and you'll be added to my closed Facebook group for ongoing support even after you've completed the course. So if you're feeling that you definitely want to move forward with telepractice, but you need a little guidance, this course will get you from point A to point B, and you will be able to start seeing your own telepractice clients in less than a month. So let's go through what we'll cover in each week. In the first week, we'll talk about how to choose your clients. So that includes what age clients are appropriate, what types of disorders can be served, in what settings, and serving clients with severe disorders. In week 2, we'll look at how to ensure you have the right technology. So we'll cover choosing the right computer, headset, webcam, and video conferencing platform. In week 3, we dig deeper into selecting a video conferencing platform that fits your needs, because every person's practice is different and your client base will have different needs. So we'll discuss knowing what features you need, ensuring your client's privacy, finding a platform that fits your budget, and how to use some of the basic features of the platform. Finally, in week 4, we'll talk about how to find appropriate materials to use with your clients. There are a lot of free materials out there that I'll be sharing with you. We'll discuss how to use your current materials and even create your own materials. I'll also be sharing some of my own personal favorites with you. So as a recap, let's talk about what's included in this course. It's a fully online 4-week course for you to complete at your own pace on your own time. You can come back to it as much as you'd like. It has a comment section in each lesson, so you can ask questions as you go along. You'll get lifetime access to the course content, so you can refer back to it, as well as free printable downloads to use at your desk for quick reference as you're getting started with your first telepractice clients. I have 2 options for you for taking this course and getting the support that you need. The first option is the online course and free practice session with me. This course will soon be going for $499, but for a limited time, I'm offering it for just $299. Option 2 is the online course plus consulting. So if you feel like you need some individual one-on-one support, this will include 4 personal coaching sessions with me, and you can use this to get further training on how to use the telepractice technology, or I also offer business consulting if you're interested in starting or growing your own telepractice. This will soon be going for $999, but for a limited time, I'm offering the online course plus consulting for just $799. I wanted to make this accessible for everyone, so I'm offering 2 payment options. You can either make a one-time payment or 3 monthly installments. And for attending today's webinar, I'm also offering a 20% discount if you choose the option for one-time payment. So keep in mind that the course alone is $299, so you'll get 20% off of that. And the course plus consulting is $799, so you would get 20% off of that. So if you choose that one-time payment option, make sure you use code webinar20 at checkout. I definitely want to help you on your telepractice journey, so please contact me if you have any questions. You can send an email to info@onlinespeechsite.com, and be sure to download these 2 free documents, the one that has the information related to privacy and security rules, and then the other list of helpful links for you. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar, and I hope to see you in my course. Have a great day.